Alright guys, welcome back to the Musical Sherpa monthly vlog. I'm really looking forward to today's post. I'm ARSENA Schroeder. As usual, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Today we are going to get into part 2. Our last video we ran out of time and space on my camera, and we were talking about funding our indie music career. So if you missed that, go back and check that out. So when it comes to grant funding, guys, I have had, as I've said, I've had a great experience with applying for grants. I got my first grant in high school. I actually started an organization called Walk in My Shoes at that time. It was my first grant. I think it was maybe $1,500 or something, but my best friend at that time was on a committee and she told me about it. And this was my first experience applying for a grant. It was a great experience. And as I shared in one of my earlier videos, if you missed that one about taking the leap, I shared that I've gotten a lot of scholarship money for college. I recently did an interview and I realized those application processes can be very similar in a sense. While one is trying to, get funding for schooling, another one is trying to get funding for your art. The processes are very similar. So I can share with you guys my experience in both those worlds so that you can apply and get the funding that is out there and available for creative people. So one of the first things I did when I decided I wanted to pursue music full time was I would go and set up at a local coffee shop. Every day I would get up and get dressed like I had a regular 9 to 5, and I would start looking for gigs. At that time, that was the only way I knew I could generate income, was by being on a stage. So I was looking for gigs. I was getting up every day, searching for opportunities to get on people's platforms. So I stumbled across this book called How to Be Your Own Booking Agent, and this book is super outdated, guys. I won't say that I necessarily recommend it, but it really helped me and exposed me to funding that I did not know was out there. Two of the topics were sponsorships and grants. And it blew my mind, guys. I had completely forgot about grants. I completely forgot about that grant I got in high school. This book really opened up my mind to the reality that there is funding out there for creative people. There's funding that starts on the endowment level nationally, and there are some national grants that you can apply for. This particular video, we are going to be talking about your state funding. I'll try to pop up on the screen if I can find one, a chart to show you how the funding flows. But there's a national level and then there's a state level. I have found that going to check out what your state art council has available is the best place to start. So that's my first tip. Look and see what your state and regional art council has available for you in your respective state. So I'm in North Carolina. What we have available to us might be different to you. I live in a certain county, so what might be available to you as a North Carolinian in a different county might be different on a regional level as well. But that is the best place to start that I have found. I found that funding is not only for government agencies or schools or nonprofits, but also for artists like us. And so that is the first place that I started. That's the first place I will recommend that you look. So check in and see what your art council has available. So my next tip for you is going to be, after you have figured out what your state art council has, is carve out a time when you are going to apply for grants. Kind of the same way I did in college for scholarships. I set aside teacher work days and I set aside some Saturdays where I was strictly applying for scholarships. That's how I got the $500,000 in scholarship, guys. I carved out time where I was just focused on applying and getting those applications. Carve out that time and sit down and write out a list of what all your state has available that you'll be a fit for. What might be a fit for you might not be a fit for someone else or for myself, but write down all the ones that are a fit for you and their deadlines. The deadlines are important. Case in point, there's one I set my mind on for songwriters, but it was only available for songwriters to apply every other year. And the year that I found it, we were on that other off year. So I still had one more year until I could apply, but that was actually great because it gave me a year as a new artist at the time to really beef up my artist resume and to really get some more experience and make sure that I had a strong application. So you want to make sure that you are charting out when they are due and you're ahead of the game in applying. That is my next tip, guys. Make sure that you are applying ahead of time. The early bird gets the worm. Here's how. So if you know when a particular grant is due, In my experience and a lot of the people I've talked to, if you reach out to your art council ahead of time, not a week or two before the grant is due, 9 times out of 10 there is someone there who will talk with you. I've had people from the art council come out and meet for coffee. If they didn't meet me, there's not one single grant I applied for where they did not read over, revise, and critique my application. This is only available to people that are applying ahead of time. So if you're waiting, your deadline is, I don't know, April 1st, you're waiting until March 20th to start. It's too late. They're busy at that point in time. They're getting a lot of last minute questions from people. But if you know it's due in April and you reach out to them in January or February, they have a little bit more time then to give you some feedback. I've also learned that there are community info sessions that you could go to. You can ask questions with the art council to get feedback on how to have a strong application, the best applications to apply for. I've even seen and been a part of conference calls where you can call in and they will go over with you and answer questions, and they will have a PowerPoint that's live and you can watch them move and click on their screen through the application process. So you want to make sure that you are taking all that is available to you to make sure you have the best application. So apply ahead of time, sit down and find out when are the deadlines and get the ball rolling ahead of time. I know a lot of artists like to procrastinate. The other tip I'm going to give you is to consider if you can apply for some opportunities as an organization. Maybe you're like me and you have a business bone in your body and you're offering a number of things outside of your personal creative work. Like I was offering workshops and curating live shows and doing a number of things, and I realized that I was actually a business, and so I formed and filed a business. And so I've had great success applying as an artist, but also applying as an organization. It lets me apply in both those ways. There are opportunities, funding opportunities for organizations. The application process is completely different. The term sometimes is not even grant, but it's a very similar thing. Money's coming from a similar place. So that's something to consider as well. This year, guys, I am super excited because one of the grants that I set my mind to in the beginning, I finally got. It took me a long time to get this particular one. I've gotten a number of grants in and outside of the art council, but this is one that I wanted when I first started, and I got a number of rejection letters. We talked about rejection last time, so we're not going to harp on rejection. But this is a grant that I was 100% confident I was going to get to fund my sophomore album years ago, and it didn't happen, and that forced me to crowdfund. Well, I reapplied this year, guys, not for an album because my album was already done, but I reapplied and I got it. So I want to encourage you guys that if you don't get one particular grant, continue to apply. That first time applying for that grant, I did not get it, but that application process helped me fine-tune how to apply, and I was able to apply for smaller grants that I have been able to get over the years. So even if you fail, guys, failure is always a setup for success because you are learning something in that process. Failing the first time gave me the information that I needed to apply for other grants. Failing the second time pushed me to crowdfund, and then the third time's a charm. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm sorry this video took so long. I recently have been working on my new music video, Flying Away. It should be out by the time I post this, so please go check it out and support it. I hope this helps. If you have more questions, make sure to place them below. I'll be going live as usual once a month, every month of 2019 before a follow-up and bringing on a friend. I'm gonna have a friend, Tanya Coleman, on. She actually helped me with my first grant. I don't know if she knows that, but she really helped me, and she's been getting grants much longer than I have. So Tanya has agreed to come on. We're gonna do a live Q&A and conversation, just talking about our experience in getting grants. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you next time.